Okay, so here's the briefing for day 4. COD storm chasing. A little bit better today, huh? First thing you should notice, probably the most important thing, is the depth of the moisture and real quality moisture starting to come up in the river. So that's a really big thing. The biggest problem with doing the analysis today is that most of the activity is going on in an area that's not very strongly data plentiful. So a lot of the jet and everything is coming in through Old Mexico. There's not many station ops there. So I'm a little concerned about how the models are handling things. But the few stations that were actually there are showing a pretty consistent pattern with a slight warming in the mid-levels. So we start to see some capping moving in from the south as the 700 millibar temperatures are rising. We've got, as I said, we've got a pretty sufficient flow of moisture. There is a very strong 250 jet, and if you take a look at it, it'll arc across southern Texas and then anticyclonically. So, but that's suppressed really far to the south. Everything else in the middle of the atmosphere is kind of bizarre. You have 500 millibar temperatures that are significantly below normal for this time of year. Our 700 millibar temperatures are also below normal, and yet we're starting to get temperatures that'll pop up and reach convective temperature probably fairly early. Looking at the latest HRRR, and last couple runs, develops a cell in the Wink Kermit area, but it starts at early, like 19Z. Which is, that's way early. And I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that's a little bit premature, but I do think that there'll be some isolated storms up there.
Would you say that's premature initiation?
That's the Canadian talking. This is being broadcast, so let's...
Hey!
I think what we have is we've got basically a lot of information that says there's going to be storms forming along the high terrain. And so I really am not too concerned about that. I think the best environment is going to be down there where that deep moisture is meeting the stronger winds. And if you go south to north, the gradient in the 250 millibar wind speeds is fairly significant. So the further south will be under the core of higher winds. If you looked at the day 1 outlook, I think Rich Thompson did the right thing putting it up to 2%, mentioned a few tornadoes. Really, when you say a few tornadoes, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes up to a 5%, but he did have a hatch tail because I think the shear should be sufficient for supercells. And we are looking at probably at least 1,500 to 2,000 K, especially in that region. So we're going to be monitoring what's going on. Our plan, therefore, today is to go down south to Brownfield. That's where we'll do lunch. So we're going to take the interstate down to Lubbock and then angle off to Brownfield. Once we're there, it should be a fast jaunt south, or we could come west. I'm thinking we'd probably go to New Mexico from there and then kind of work our way south. But one of those ways, we'll see how things are developing as time goes on. We'll be watching the model, all that stuff. Tomorrow, just a quick briefing. We are going to be staying in Odessa tonight. Tomorrow, wow, it's a dry line play in the southern panhandle of Texas. I mean, strong dry line along the New Mexico-Texas border. There's 40 to 50 knots of wind at 500 that's going to overshoot that, overlay that the Guam sector. And it's really interesting. I mean, I love the way the week is shaping up. I'm very excited about this. Today, what I like about today is that there's not as much convection as maybe the models had. So we're going to just kind of be aware of our environment. So there's going to be no movies being shown today. We're going to be doing analysis the entire time because this is kind of important. But I want to get south because we're a little bit too far north for me right now. So let's get a move on it. See you.
Here we go.